Hello and welcome back to another video where I do whatever I want. Today I'll be making DIY gifts for Valentine's Day out of polymer clay. I didn't intend for that to rhyme. I guess that's what you call true pottery. In this video, I'm using Sculpey III clay. It is known as a beginner's clay, and I am indeed a beginner who had the audacity to film my first time trying my hand at polymer clay and upload it onto YouTube. Basically, this is an aesthetic DIY video masquerading as a tutorial. As you can see, I've rolled out some pink clay and cut it into a heart shape using a heart-shaped cutter. If you don't have this incredibly specific tool, you can make a heart-shaped template from cardboard and use that as a template. There are plenty of tutorials on that, this is not one of them. Here I have laid my heart-shaped pink clay into a small oven-safe dish because I want it to have a dish shape, and I'll be baking the clay in the dish so it can maintain its shape. Now I'm using an even smaller heart-shaped cutter to create a design in the middle of the dish. Note that I'm just pressing the cutter lightly into the clay. Basically treat it like shaking hands with someone for the first time. You just need to be forceful enough to create a great impression. And that's it for the first dish. I'll put it aside to be baked later. Moving on to the next project, I will be using white clay this time. Here you can see me conditioning the clay. At this point, I don't have much to say about the process, so I should tell a joke about the word conditioner. Perhaps I should try to make a joke about air conditioners, but well, I like jokes. But jokes about air conditioners? Not a fan. As you can see, I have again rolled out the clay and now I will cut it into a heart shape using the same cutter as before. If you can guess that I'm making the exact same heart-shaped dish as before, then you are absolutely correct. How did you know that? You get a million authentically imaginary cool points for predicting the predictable. You lucky thing you. Here I am now removing the cutter before I remove the clay from my work surface area. Now please enjoy this fun little time lapse where I show off my collection of heart-shaped cutters. Here you can see that I'm using these cutters to again make an impression on the clay. I know what you're thinking. You're wondering, why do I have so many heart-shaped cutters? Well, I have a very good reason for that. It's because I like them. Here you can see me smoothing out the raw edges of the clay with my finger. I'm just making sure everything looks nice and neat. I'm also using a toothpick and the cutter again to clean up the edges of the concentric heart design. Now that's it for heart dish number 2. I will be setting these aside to be baked later. Moving on to my third project, I will be using this pearlescent pink clay called Princess Pearl, which I will then roll into this little pink ball, which I will then flatten with this ersatz rolling pin. I say ersatz because this isn't actually a rolling pin. It's a water bottle pretending to be a rolling pin, the same way I pretend that I know what I'm doing in this video. Here you can see I've cut out a medium-sized heart and I've made a smaller heart-shaped hole in it. You might think this hole is symbolic for something, but the reality is I just want to get more mileage out of my cutters. As you can see, I have made more holes using a toothpick because these hearts are meant to be made into earrings. I also made more earrings out of this pearlescent red clay. I have to say this clay is very shimmery and I just had to show a close-up of it so you can appreciate just how shiny it is. Like the Princess Pearl pink clay was shiny, but there's just something about the glittery red that brings me unadulterated joy. It could be because I'm Chinese and Chinese New Year is in less than a week and red makes me think of Chinese New Year. You know, I did initially consider making videos that were Chinese New Year themed and not Valentine's Day themed, but there's not going to be much of a celebration considering everything is still in lockdown. Here you can see I have cut out some tiny red hearts and made little holes in it with a toothpick. I played around with the placement of the holes because at that point I still didn't have a clear idea of the kind of earrings I would be making. And that's it for the earrings. Moving on to the next DIY, I'm cutting out some more heart shapes from the red clay about the size of a macaron. Because that's what I'm making, heart-shaped macaron keychains. I'm using the Sculpey oven-baked clay adhesive, also known as Bake and Bond, to adhere the raw clay pieces to each other. I also made a pink version of it because why not? Then while the clay was still raw and unbaked, I stuck an eye pin into it so I could attach it to the keychain later on. For my research, yes, it's totally fine to bake the clay with an eye pin embedded. Otherwise, you'll have to drill a hole in it later or to glue the eye pin on. Now it's time to bake the clay. I baked these at 130 degrees Celsius for about 25 to 30 minutes. Yes, I know Sculpey says to bake for only 15 minutes, but for my research, baking longer is totally fine and will lead to stronger clay projects. Here you can see that these clay projects are now out of the oven. I let them cool overnight before I remove them from the dish. That's because if you remove them right out of the oven, they will still be quite soft. So I decided to just let them be and just let them cool down completely before I took them out. Here you can see that the beads also turn out pretty cute. I'm glad I used a pearlescent type of clay for the beads because they turn out very shimmery and shiny. The pointed oval-shaped beads were made off camera. The hearts here look a little rough because this is the back of the bead, and the area where I made the hole kind of pushed the clay to the side and made it look lumpy. I also noticed that the pearlescent clay took on a darker hue after baking. You can see how it compares to the raw clay. Because the cutter I used had a seam, this left a mark on the finished clay project, so I smoothed it out with sandpaper. Then I also used sandpaper on all the other beads where I felt that they had rough or uneven surfaces that didn't look very nice. I used the sandpaper to just smooth it all out. Considering this is my first time using polymer clay, I'm really happy with the results. These came out better than I expected and turned out to be rather aesthetically pleasing, if I do say so myself. The metallic paint gave the dishes a very nice touch, and the earrings and keychains came out really cute. I think these would make pretty sweet gifts for the upcoming Valentine or Galentine's Day should you choose to make them. Do let me know what you think of these in the comment section down below. I'll probably be revisiting polymer clay crafts in the near future, so do subscribe for that. If you enjoyed the video, you know the drill. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Do have a great week ahead, and I will see you next time. Bye!